So why do you think he got convicted for the murder?
Well, he didn't get convicted. He pled guilty. You have to understand, though the news media puts it out as he was the self-confessed killer of King, that's not true. All through the transcripts, the entirety of the record, he never confessed, and often he said, I never said I killed King. I didn't kill him. I'm pleading cause of Alford. That's A-L-F-O-R-D. It's a moderately old U.S. Supreme Court case, and it says, even if you are not actually guilty and you are pristinely innocent, you may plead guilty to the charge if you think that doing so is in your best interest under all of the circumstances as you know them to be, and you're doing so freely, voluntarily, understandingly, knowingly, advisedly, and intelligently. So Ray had gone through all of these.
Hello, it's August 2023.
As I have spent much time in hospital emergencies this past year and counting, I hear people complain about not being treated as important. This is a sign of entitlement. Emergency nurses and doctors are there to make sure you're alive and serious injuries are treated. They need to prioritize, and if you feel your paper cut is more important than someone dying, you're the problem. I have respect for them. These are the people who make a difference in the world, as do people who build things using practical sciences. I look at my life and I realize I haven't made a positive difference in my life, perhaps made things worse for society. At least at one time, I had the highest award for lawsuits for subprime credit grantors, 29%, down from contracts imposing 49% and up from the courts defaulting to the Courts of Justice Act at 4 and 6% for pre and post. I resurrected people going to jail for not paying debts under the guise of contempt on judgments. Even when I had the status of a peace officer, process serving, difficult serves, and being successful, it was a thrill of the hunt, causing people so much grief for things beyond their control, to the point of, as one example, a mother of a son who was the defendant pushing me down icy stairs from the second story. She was charged with assaulting a peace officer and convicted of the said. Why was I successful with these things? Not because I was evil-minded, but rather for the challenge of problem solving to achieve a goal. The same can be said for people who make things that end up being used for massive destruction. It was the challenge and their denial of it being used for evil. This reminds me of a saying, just because you can doesn't mean you should. But my greatest achievement was a free grocery program for people on low-income disability. This was at the non-profit organization in Calgary, Alberta, central to my story. This was terminated after my story began there, which was to expose the sexual abuse and trafficking of vulnerable women there. My efforts cost me everything, and none of the people doing this were brought to justice. So what difference did I make? This led to exposing the police, judicial, and political corruption in the city of Calgary. Yes, some lost their careers, others compromised, but overall the corruption there still carries on. So what difference did I make? We live in a world where the laws even allow actual innocent people pleading guilty, as well as people being coerced into pleading guilty, in the form of gaslighting. Then we have innocent people being found guilty, and this is a topic unto itself. How many people each day plead guilty to save time, money, or don't have the money, or the fear of being wrongfully found guilty and paying a bigger price? And because they plead guilty, they have no recourse. People who are coerced into pleading guilty have little recourse, and the wrongfully convicted, we only hear of a tiny fraction of people being exonerated. All these people in the legal and political arenas are blind to the harm they do. Some don't even care. I had a colleague in law once say to me, perhaps I was in the wrong profession, because I did feel bad for being the one to crush the average person in court. People who obtain some social status ultimately want power, even if it is to have their mere opinions carry more weight. I know, I was one of them, aspiring to be even greater, which took me places like meeting with world leaders and elite types. I know there are journalistic photos of some of these events I attended. Find them if you want proof. My video efforts are shadow banned, and some I cannot even share on social media. View and subscriber counts tampered with, people finding themselves unsubscribed and others unsubscribing because I may say something, one thing they don't like, dismissing everything else, which is a reflection of society. And what about society? We are in social decay. We remove the traditions, values, and social standards those from the days of old gave us. The firm, proverbial lines drawn to avoid where we are today. We are in the late stage of the last stage of civilization, the age of decadence, again, and we repeat history because history is forgotten either by chance or design. And what always follows is our demise. There is also a 100-year pattern within the cycles of civilization. Gay rights led to trans rights, led to pedophilia rights, led to bestiality rights, led to cannibalistic restaurants being out in the open, to finally these things compromising children. Move the line once and it's gone forever. I was compromised as a child. I survived abortion, drowned twice, was used for sex by adults, survived being deliberately poisoned, to being trafficked in my mid to late teens. This segues into the woman I married in my late 20s, a nurse for sick kids and specialized in neurology by profession, to being sex trafficked overseas. I'm not looking for sympathy, empathy, or a pat on the back. I really don't want anything, as none of these things would make a difference for me. None of this said would make me happy, making me wonder, what would make me happy now? Happiness, peace, and even love are distant memories. I do not play victim. I do not play the blame game for those falls by the hands of others, and despite the wrongs done to me throughout my life, I still move forward and continue to achieve whatever I set my mind to. I look at my life and where I am now. No career or even work, no money, and health is declining, no family, and going through everything alone. No personal and professional reputations to identify with, no goals and dreams, as those days are but again a distant memory. I've made no positive difference in the world. So my questions are, anyway, I wonder what history will say about us and this civilization.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
The moment we were admitted to the hospital, we abandoned our symptoms, and we behaved the way we usually behave. The question was, would anyone detect that we were sane? The answer was, no. No one ever did. Admitted with the diagnosis.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people say, when is it going to get easier? When you die.